Hello my dear friends, how is it going? I hope I find you all in good health and safe and sound. Welcome, thank you for joining me here. I'm Arian and here I am today for a brief video on the origins of Nazi Occultism. This is a very quick view, very briefly, on the subject following my 3 previous videos on the esoteric origins of the runes, which touch on this very subject of Romantic nationalism, Aryanism, and Nazi Occultism. So this video today is picking up the key points and a general view on the topics I have presented in those previous videos, which I'll put them here on the screen so you can easily identify them and search for them. And I will also put them in the description of this video, of course, as well, for anyone who wants a deeper dive into this subject. So this video today is one of those short videos you can send to your friends and to people who either don't have a lot of free time on their hands or simply have absolutely no patience to watch longer videos. Before we start, I just want to take the opportunity to tell you that I have released a new EP with my solo experimental music project, Varum. The EP is out, and anything you want to know about this project of mine, ask away or check the description of this video. By the way, I'm also on TikTok now, because of reasons. Let's see where all of this takes me, right? I'm just curious with that platform. And I know I come late to the party, but that's with almost everything in my life. I always come late. And unlike Gandalf, it's not because I mean to, it's because I'm often completely oblivious when it comes to online platforms. Now, my dear friends, with no more delay, let's start our today's video. Thank you for your time and patience, if you please. All right. Given the most recent political events in US history, especially concerning that South African suck-lemon-faced donkey fucker nerd, there's been a lot of talk about or concerning Nazis and Nazism. And it really is important to understand the history of Nazism and the types of mentality, ideologies and theories behind it, so we can all better spot it when, from time to time, it sprouts again. Some people, curiously, are very surprised concerning the actions, speech, ideologies, and overall demeanor of the knob-headed robot wanker Twitter Muppet guy, but it has always been there, right? I've called it, even before he owned Twitter. I've warned you. I never liked him, and I stand correct, because the evidences were always there, and when these people are given a little bit more power than what they already had, because these twats are never happy with all the amount of money they already had, they really show their true intentions, their true colors. The thing is, this sodding bastard is not a genius, never was. He just has a lot of money and buys ideas and buys people who are geniuses to bring to life everything his money can buy. So he's not really bright, so he's never been very good at hiding his true colors. The problem is that the great majority of people, and understandably of course, are not able to see the signs, the patterns. Therefore, understanding Nazism in its fullness means realizing that it was not simply a political movement. To understand it, we need to delve into the complex beliefs it followed, a pan-Germanic mythology, racism, and anti-Semitism. It's crucial to understand this movement, which isn't just political, but highly ideological and akin to a religious movement, in order to, of course, better perceive it when it starts to emerge again, before it takes root and it's already too late. The origins of esoteric and occult beliefs such as Ariosophy and Theosophy, which I have discussed in previous videos, can be traced to the political, cultural and economic conditions prevailing in Prussia and Austria in the mid-19th century. That is, during the process of political unification, when Germans increasingly began to conceive an idea of national unity in cultural terms. This trend, of course, began in the late 18th century when writers of pre-Romantic Strom und Drang movement, contrary to Enlightenment and reason, expressed the common identity of all Germans in folk songs, customs, and literature. This emphasis on the past and traditions gave a strong mythological character to the cause of unification, but the idealized and very romantic image of a rural and medieval Germany suffered from the economic measures adopted by the Second Reich, 1871 to 1918, which rapidly modernized and industrialized the country. For many who watched their traditional communities destroyed by the spread of cities and industries, the mythical foundations of national unity began to be threatened. The nature of a fascist system lies in the maintenance of a revolutionary political culture based on polygenetic myths, right? That is, the popular ultra-nationalist cult of myths of the rebirth of the nation based on a ritualistic liturgy also made fascism a political religion. Therefore, we are not just talking about politics, simply politics in this case, but a much more complex organism. Therefore, as mentioned in the videos previously mentioned, the history of secret societies and Nazi occultism began with the process of unification of Germany in 1871. The search for a mythical past that would unite the Germans, driven by the artistic movement, Strom und Drang, from the 18th century, which was mixed with mysticism and gave rise to Ariosophy, the basis of Nazi fascism and all current neo-Nazi and supremacist societies and groups. Strom und Drang was a pre-Romantic movement of the late 18th century, as I said, contrary to Enlightenment and reason, which valued emotion and the return to the golden age, a mythical pre-Christian past, right? The appreciation of the past and the German language created an ethnic unity necessary for unification. Many Nordic myths and inventions about such myths and inventions of pre-Christian Germanic tribes were brought to life. And these tribal fantasies themselves gain a mythical connotation which helped to create a national identity that, although it never existed in the actual historical past, this entire Romantic movement will appeal to the need for unity, especially in the desire to build a nation-state. As mentioned in previous videos, Theosophy played a very important role in the construction of these myths. Theosophy was created by Helena Blavatsky in 1875. This movement proposes that all religions emerged from common core teachings. The doctrine encompasses the Christian Gnostic movement, the Kabbalah, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Blavatsky was, to a certain extent, of course, was of great importance because she introduced elements of Eastern beliefs to the West, such as karma and reincarnation, among other themes that until then were not part of the ancient and new religions of Europe. You can read in Blavatsky's book, The Secret Doctrine, where she states that humans evolved from root races, Lemurians, Atlanteans, and Aryans, the most evolved. Blavatsky chooses the Sanskrit term Arya, noble, and from here a great mythology is generated around the Aryan people, the Aryan race, which start as a pseudo-scientific historical race concept that emerged in the late 19th century to describe people who descend from the Proto-Indo-Europeans and the Indo-Europeans as a racial grouping. Nowadays we know who the real Aryans were, and they were not Indo-Europeans, much less a synonym for Germanic and or Nordic peoples or Europeans or white people or Caucasians. Aryan race was essentially claiming that Proto-Indo-European specimens were superior to humans and that their descendants comprised either a distinct racial group or a distinct subgroup of the hypothetical Caucasian race. This theory became particularly popular among European racial supremacists and ultimately laid the foundations for Nazi racial theories. What I'm saying here, in case someone hasn't still noticed or hasn't still understand it for some reason, is that this was all a fantasy following the Romantic movements of the time, which disproved actual science and reason in favor of Romantic mysticism and modern racial mythologies mixed with spiritualism and other New Age ideologies, theories, and movements. Basically, what's happening in here is that anything goes, as long as it was in favor of creating fictional mythical pasts as proof of an historical past as arguments of unification of a nation based on race. And then this is where Ariosophy comes in, created in 1915 by Guido von List, of whom I have already spoken about extensively in previous videos, as the herald of Nazism, the harbinger of the theories and ideologies that would lead to the foundation of Nazism, and like him also Jörg Lanz von Liebenfels. And this doctrine, Ariosophy, unites the completely fantastic and highly altered and invented Nordic Germanic mythology with the Theosophy I spoke about previously. So basically, Ariosophy is the combination of Theosophy with Nordic racial myths, modern inventions, in turn giving rise to other branches such as Wotanism and Aryo-Christianity. Through the study of historical documents, without any regard for critical thinking and scientific methods and the use of runes, Guido von List and his companions and followers seek the power of the Aryans, who, for them, would then be a superior race that must be preserved through purity according to their interpretation of Theosophy. Guido List invented the Armanen, the ancient Germanic priests that never existed, whose most sacred symbol, according to him, of course, was the swastika. Thus, he founded an inner Ariosophist group, the Hauer Harmanen Orden, of which he was a Grand Master. All of this was discussed in more detail in previous videos, I remind you. The idea that Europeans were descendants of a superior race and responsible for humanity's advances reinforced both the discourses of social Darwinism and European imperialism. Yet another justification for an unequal, hierarchical and racist world. Thus, the economic elite of the 19th century financed and spread Theosophy and Ariosophy, which became very popular among the conservative middle class. We are talking about the financing of ideological religious movements of a racial nature, which allowed the elite to continue to have increasingly superior economic power, as such theories justified the continuation of European imperialism and colonialism, among other economic systems that are based on the accumulation of wealth through inequality and racism. All said and done, these are the foundations of Nazism and other movements, theories, and ideologies that aim to enrich the wealthy and give them the possibility of the continuation of political, economic, and social power over the masses by creating a world of inequality and a well-structured hierarchy where the elite maintains their privilege and power at the expense of the struggle of the masses, which fight amongst themselves within a system that is designed to give more wealth and power to the elites and keep the masses in struggle and in need. So, I really do hope you got this for everyone's sake. The only difference between what is happening now and what happened in the historical periods of Europe and of the world here mentioned in this video is that people nowadays have several platforms to spread information, which can certainly be used to promote these cancerous systems, surely, but it also helps to educate people, especially on being attentive to the signs, to the patterns. Even though it seems we are heading in the same direction as before, there's still hope, because clearly there's quite a lot of people that understood the patterns, have seen the patterns, and are actively trying to avoid, push off, and reject the elites that promote these ideologies by hitting where it hurts the most on these elites, the things that make them rich and powerful. In other words, keep burning those fucking cars, if you take my meaning, especially France. My dear friends, thank you so much for watching. See you on the next video. And as always, tack för idag. Thanks for today. Obrigado por hoje. Until we meet again, my dear friends.